Trojan Philly, what's up, man? USCJ here. It's the top of the morning. It's the top of the morning. Listen, I hope everybody is getting ready to get up, get out, and make some things happen this morning. Listen, I wanted to do a little film study, but I'm not going to put the film on here on Miller Moss in the tight ends. I wanted to know, why are the tight ends so much more involved this year opposed to last year? Listen, I went back, I looked at some film, then I looked at some stats. We're going to take a look at some of this information because I believe the tight ends are being so much more involved. And I think it's opening so much more up for this USC football offense. You guys know USC just coming off a big time win against Utah State, 48 points put on the board. But I want to look at some of the stats as it relates to this year opposed to last year, looking at how were the tight ends utilized, how were the tight ends involved. And I want to say this as it relates to hitting the tight ends or just hitting everybody, because when I'm looking at this as a whole, and when I start looking at all these wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, I believe that more people this year are a lot more involved in the offense opposed to last year. We'll take a look at some actual numbers. And here's another thing. There are certain things I believe that you could teach. You could teach, from a seeing the field perspective. You could teach from doing running backs, the jukes, the drills. You could teach all those things, but I believe that certain things are instinctive, meaning that those things really don't come into play until you're in the situation. For example, running backs, whether it's Woody Marks, there's certain moves that he had that he was able to do when he was out in the open field. And it wasn't until he was up on that guy that, that instinctive juke came. Another example, Jaden Maiava, when he was out there, we stated that he looked like Caleb Williams or some say Sam Donald when he was out there making that move. Jaden Maiava was out there, in the pocket, but then he rolled out. That looked almost identical as to what Caleb Williams did. And you can't, those are certain instinctive things that you can't teach. I believe that when you're talking about these tight ends being hit, Miller Moss, yes, you could practice all these different things, but, I looked at some film last year and this year. The tight end was going up the seam, up the middle, the same way, and even in the flat, same way this year as it was last year. I saw some guys that were just open, that were not really being hit last year. And as a result, there were a lot of tight ends. There was some tight end play that really wasn't, getting involved as it is this year. And we'll take a look at that. But when you look at this here, this is USC versus LSU. I got it highlighted right there, some of the stats, but I just want to show you real quick. I'm going to read them off to you for those who it may be too small for. But you look at LSU versus USC right here, and you look at the tight ends, Lake McCree, and you see 5 receptions for 56 yards. That is intentional. That is instinctive. And, as Miller Moss is going through his progressions, as he's doing his checkdowns, I believe that those are some of the things that he sees. He's reading the defense. I believe he's reading where guys are. And listen, when you're talking about the tight end play, because when I went back and I looked at the film, there is a small window. There is a small window that opens up for the tight end play. You cannot, if you start doing any type of scrambling movement inside the pocket, that window closes. However, if you step up in the pocket and you see that window open and you do it less than 2 seconds, which I told you guys, there's a stat that PFF had that said that Caleb Williams held the ball for 3.5 seconds last year, whereas Miller Moss is holding the ball for 2.5 seconds. But there is a window that comes open, and once that window comes up, and listen, let me say this again, there is no knock on anybody. I'm just analyzing. I'm just wondering why these tight ends are all of a sudden starting to get open. There's some things that Caleb does better than Miller Moss. There's some things that Miller Moss does better than Caleb. Now, so when that window opens up for that second, you have to step up in the pocket to not only see it, but to catch that window. If you try to scramble around in the pocket and that window closes, you might throw to that guy, but then it might create an interception. Or you might miss that guy, or you might overthrow him because there's a defender very close by. We saw that in the Notre Dame game last year. Now, these guys, these tight ends, when Miller hits them, all of a sudden they're wide open. They're nobody's even close to him within maybe a 3 yard radius. So I think there is a distinct difference. And when you look at this, as I stated, Lake McCree is 5 receptions for 56 yards. He averaged 11.2 yards per catch. Then when you look at the other tight end, Cade Outridge, 1 reception for 6 yards in the LSU game. And so there are 6 targets here when you're talking about the tight end position in the LSU game. Now, we go to, what game is this? This is the USC versus Nevada. You see here, Lake McCree, 4 receptions for 86 yards. And I think where he's catching this guy at, where he's catching Lake McCree at, is very, very important. You're talking about open space where he's giving this guy an opportunity. You know, he has a long run of 34 yards, whether it's catching those guys out in the flat. There were so many times last year we saw the tight end in the flat, but we weren't actually in the tight end. Listen, you can say whatever you want. You can come on here and bash it, but I'm just giving you raw facts. I went back and looked at the film. The tight end is being utilized a lot more, and I think it's opening up the running backs, it's opening up other wide receivers, and just wide receivers as a whole. Look at the number of guys on here in the receiving section right here. And I can count it out to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 guys being hit from USC. Look, Lake McCree, Woody Marks, Kyle Ford, Mekhi Lemon, Jaden Richardson, Zachariah Branch, Kyron Hudson, Jacoby Lane, Walker Lyons, Charles Ross, Cade Outridge, Quinn Joyner, Jay Fair, and Brian Jackson all had catches in this game. So you're talking about in this game, same thing. Total of 7, 8 targets. Walker Lyons had 3. Lake McCree had 4. And then you had Cade Outridge that had 1, which is a total of 8 targets for the tight end position. Look, you guys can hit me in the comments, man. I just want to know what you guys think. The tight end position has been incredible. And here it is right here. This was last year against one of the so-called weak teams in the Mountain West as well that we played against last year. Look, we won that game 66-14, but you look at it here. Lake McCree had 1 target right here for 10 yards. Wow. So that was it as far as the tight end position. So, man, look, you guys can hit me in the comments, man. You guys can tell me what you think. I think this tight end, the emergence of the tight end position, and then not only getting just one tight end involved, but you're talking about getting multiple tight ends to get Cade Outridge, to get Walker Lyons. You guys know I was very high. I predicted Walker Lyons will be one of those that will actually come in there and play. You guys remember I did a video about him, and he is absolutely coming in, moving and grooving. I also felt like I thought Walter Matthews would get in there, but his development may be a little slower than Walker Lyons. But those 2 guys, I really project those guys to be some breakout players when you're talking about the tight end position. However, we know we have Joey Olsen as well. We know we have Cade Outridge. Cade Outridge, he's been an incredible player as well. Walker Lyons, Cade Outridge has been some 2 guys from the younger side of the ball that I think those tight ends are going to be absolutely the future's bright for all of our guys, really. But it's great to see those young guys absolutely moving and grooving. And by the way, when you look at Kyle Ford come across, and some of the things that he's doing as far as in the tight end, in the wide receiver room, it's almost like having a big tight end when you look at his big frame, his big body come across the field like that last week against Utah State. So you guys can hit me in the comments. I got one more news and note item I want to share with you guys. As far as the practice injury updates, you guys know that Eric Gentry, Mason Cobb, those 2 guys were held out of practice. Jalen Smith as well. But I think those guys will be playing in the Michigan game. I think it's more so for precautionary measures. Keelan O'Connor, I'm not sure exactly how long he's going to be out. maybe 3 to 4 weeks. We'll see what happens with that. But I think USC, for the most part, is going to be healthy on the healthy side. So you guys can hit me in the comments. You guys can tell me what you think. This is one more thing I wanted to show you guys. That is this right here. NFL 2025 stock that is rising up big time. And number one is going to be Texas quarterback. It's going to be Quinn Ewers. And the next person is going to be Miller Moss. Miller Moss is number two, sitting right there behind Quinn Ewers for NFL draft stock. So look, let's just buckle our seatbelts, because I think Miller Moss may be out of here. Yeah, he may look if the way he's going right now. And it's very look. Let's salute. He paid his dues. He's been here for all this time. Miller Moss can come back next year, I think. Because of the COVID year. But Miller Moss, look, his stock is getting up there, and look, we might as well just say, look, Miller, ball out this year and just become a big time draft pick. We got Jaden Maiava, of course, ready to step up. Of course, Julian Lewis coming in, and he can learn as well from a guy like Jaden Maiava. I think the future is bright when you're talking about the quarterback spot for the USC football Trojans. It's straight up go time. It's on and popping. It's on and cracking. And then Austin Genty, Boise State running back, is going to be number 3 for his draft stock. That dude is absolutely he ran all over. I think he ran for over 200 yards against Oregon. Unbelievable. And then Jonah Coleman for Washington, the running back. Let me tell you something about that dude, man. I watched him. Of course, you know, he did it to us last year, but now, you know, when he played for Arizona, but now to watch him now, he is an absolute baller. I really like that guy as a running back. He's super shifty, super fast, runs extremely hard. And then you got Tyler Barron. You guys know we were after him in the transfer portal, ended up going to Miami. He's the number 5 as far as his draft stock. And then Iowa, Jay Higgins, he's going to be number 6. And then Tommy Hill from Nebraska, number 7. And then number 8 is Jalen Catalan for UNLV. So look, Miller Moss, draft stock number 2. It's straight up go time with him, man. It's a lot to be said about that, man. His draft stock is rising up. So hit me in the comments. You guys already know where you can find me. I'm a little lost in the sauce. You know, I kind of, congested or whatever. But this thing has been lingering. But look, man, hit me in the comments. You guys tell me what you think. It's USCJ32 on Instagram, USCJ32 on Twitter. Listen, I got the sunglasses on. You guys already know, because the future is bright and it's straight up go time. Hit me in the comments. You guys know where you can find me. It's going to be USCJ32 on Instagram, USCJ32 on Twitter. Until later on, everybody stay blessed. Fight on, fight on, fight on.